Good evening and welcome to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast. Back with you, breaking down the Kansas City Chiefs' big win over the Buffalo Bills. Survive and advance this time of year. They have survived and they will advance. We'll see how it goes against these Baltimore Ravens. We'll talk about whether or not the Chiefs are the scariest team left. Certainly the best players got to scare some people. What does another win over Josh Allen do for Mahomes' stature? Is the offense all fixed up? Does it all revolve around Isaiah Pacheco? What impact does Travis Kelce have on this game? How big of an issue will the Joe Thuney injury end up being? Did the defense get exposed? Certainly pushed around in the first half of that game. How do the Chiefs match up with the Baltimore Ravens? What's the game plan to stop Lamar Jackson? And finally, predictions. We'll see if anyone has the guts to pick the Kansas City Chiefs as a dog against the Baltimore Ravens. It's coming up right now here on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.
You're listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Eric Eager, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Eric Eager is the vice president of research and development for Sumer Sports. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Eric Eager, and Soren Petro.
And thank you very much, Curtis. Hope you're getting a chance to catch us live this week. If you didn't, remember, if you catch us through the podcast, you can be a part of the conversation. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Central is when we stream live. Got a lot of folks lining up in the chat room. You can converse with them, converse with us. We might even get to some of your comments here on the air. We like to show them on the screen, so make sure you join us Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Jeff Chadiha from NFL Network, Eric Eager from Sumer Sports, Soren Petro here from Sports Radio 810 WHB. And guys, survive and advance. That's what it's about this time of year. Doesn't matter if it's pretty, Jeff, and it wasn't always pretty for the Chiefs, but they get by the Buffalo Bills. What did you take away from that game, and how scary do you think the Chiefs should be for the rest of the playoff teams that are out there that might have to face them?
Well, first I want to know if Eric's watching a movie over there. He's got like Schindler's List on or something. He's so subdued back there with this light keeps flashing onto his eyes. There's something in this screen that's probably not us. Yeah. Is there something you want to tell us?
I was just looking at the New Hampshire primary.
Okay.
Just looking at the numbers.
Gotcha. All right. Well, look, to answer your question, yeah, they're scary. I mean, you get to this point, and you've been to 5 of these before. The experience is in your favor. You got a quarterback who's always played well, I guess, aside from one game a couple of years ago against Cincinnati in these moments. And so you've got that going for you, and they look good against Buffalo. So I think that all those things factor into this. Baltimore, of course, is certainly going to be a huge challenge for them, but I feel like selfishly, this is the matchup you wanted. I feel like Kansas City, you watched them play in that game. We saw the offense be what we've been waiting for it to be for the last, 2 or 3 months, 2.5 months. We saw some coaching adjustments, a lot of big personnel, which I liked, a lot taking advantage of some of the Buffalo's defensive schematics. Obviously, A.J. Klein playing linebacker was a liability for them. Taron Johnson being on the field against big personnel was a problem for them. And so the guys who had to make plays for them that we felt had to be bell cows, Pacheco, Rice didn't do a lot, but he did enough. Kelce showed up. So the defense made plays at the end. So I thought they're moving in the right direction at the right time. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. That's, I think that's a pretty good way to put it. They played one of their best games, Eric. Is it good enough for them to be a dangerous team the rest of the way. They're still sloppy, right? McCole Hardman fumbling through the end zone. Creed Humphrey rolled the snap back there. I mean, they still had some of the classics that they've had all season. How dangerous do you think they sit now after that game against Buffalo?
I think Petro was going to ask me how dangerous do we think they are. I actually thought that there was some cleanliness to the game, right? They went all the way until the first play before halftime without a penalty. That was really encouraging. And then we saw two of them kind of on the same play. So that was, that was really good. So that was, so that was good. We didn't really see a turnover until the Hardman play. We saw two fumbles by Hardman. That to me, although, I actually have a friend who's a professional bettor who bets props, who asked me, he goes, do you think they're going to bench Hardman? And I'm like, have they benched MVS yet? Right. I think that those things seem correctable. But I think we're going to see Hardman trotted out there this week again. But I think they were more clean this week. So everything this week, except for the run defense, was pretty damn good. They outgained Buffalo by 1.5 yards per play. And it was 3.5 yards per play until you got to that fourth quarter where they slowed down a little bit on offense. Basically after that fake punt where they weren't able to take advantage and punch in a 2-point lead. So I was very encouraged. Now, obviously this weekend I was in Baltimore, of course, for the Ravens game. That's why my voice kind of sucks. Not because I was rooting all that hard for the Ravens, but more because it was cold as hell. And now I have a little bit of the flu. The Ravens were phenomenal. I actually thought CJ Stroud played a great game, given everything that happened to him and all the things that the Ravens were doing. Patrick is going to have to play every bit as well as he played Sunday and more for them to beat the Ravens on Sunday in the AFC title game. And so the effort that they had on Sunday against Buffalo is not going to be good enough. It is going to have to be that and more to beat this Ravens team.
Yeah, I think we all agree this is a significant step up. The Buffalo Bills defense, how much of the success of the offense, Jeff, do you put on the fact that the Dolphins were ravaged by injuries? The Bills had learned to play without their two main guys, but they got a lot of guys back for the game, but we don't know how healthy they were. How much of it was we haven't seen them go up against the defense really at full strength, which we're going to see now.
Well, I thought going into the game that a little bit of what was happening with the Bills was overblown because they were getting Rasul Douglas back. They lost Christian Benford at corner. A.J. Klein had played well the week before, so I thought he could hold up. But clearly they missed Terrell Bernard at linebacker, not having the speed to deal with Kelce middle of the field. I don't want to say – I think it minimizes what the Chiefs did by saying it was all about what the Bills didn't have on defense. I think the Chiefs played a really good game, had a really good game plan. But yeah, I think what the Ravens bring to the table are just everything that the Chiefs did well in that game. The Ravens are good at stopping. And so that's where you begin to wonder, okay, are you going to see Travis Kelce have the same impact in this game when it's not a 35-year-old linebacker getting ready to go on vacation playing against you, and it's a couple Pro Bowl guys and one All-Pro guy, and Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen? Are you going to see Kyle Hamilton have a bigger impact in this game from the nickel slot position than Taron Johnson, a guy who's an All-Pro versatile safety? And then obviously they've got a lot of pressure packages they can bring with their front. You look at pretty much up and down. Really, the only stark advantage the Chiefs have, I think even a stark advantage is quarterback. Every other unit on this team, if you look at up and down the rosters, the Ravens have the advantage. And even their advantage at quarterback is the Ravens guy is going to be a 2-time MVP in a couple of weeks. So, yeah, I think it's a little different matchup. But I think sometimes I haven't heard much of the banter about the Bills game. I've been kind of tied up with stuff. But I think it's very dangerous to look at that game and say, oh, the Bills were just not as good as the Chiefs. that game could have gone easily to the Bills if some different things had happened. So I think the Chiefs played very well, but they're going to see a much better team this week.
Yeah, I agree. How much better, Eric, by your math, by the analytics, how much better are the Ravens over the Bills?
Well, I mean, the Chiefs closed 2.5-point underdogs last week. The Ravens are 3.5, and it looks like it's trending towards 4. I mean, the 3 in the NFL is worth about 8%. So they're about 8% better. That's a lot in the NFL, right? So now I think that look, I think the Chiefs have more matchup advantages against the Ravens than maybe some people believe. I think tight end, especially if Andrews doesn't come back, is an advantage that they have. Well, and they don't obviously match up that way, but I think offensive line, the Chiefs are pretty good. The thing that the Ravens do really well is they're incredibly well coached. That's also an advantage that the Chiefs have against most teams as well. So this is a. I think Jeff's right. Jeff's right. This is an incredibly impressive football team. I think that we'll talk about this kind of schematically, but I don't know. I'm really pumped for this matchup because the Ravens are getting their flowers this week. And I think in a lot of ways, they've leveraged a lot of the same pressure points that the Chiefs have, just better than they have this season. And that's why they're favored in this matchup. But that doesn't mean that if the Chiefs do what they're capable of, they're not capable of doing what the Ravens are projected to do this week, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I want to hit on this because, Alexis, there's been a lot of conversation like this. Josh Allen shrunk and pressed. Question is, will Lamar do the same? The 15 effect. Listen, that's one of the things I put up here late was what does the win over Josh Allen do for Patrick Mahomes' stature? And the reason I put it up there was because Josh Allen played great. I mean, what are we talking about here? If your guy Pat, if you're a Chiefs fan and your guy Pat's just beating a bunch of humps that are tossing the ball into the ground, then how good is he? I've never understood the running down of the team you just beat. It makes your victory.
Can I raise my hand? Josh Allen played better in the game Sunday than Joe Burrow has played in any victory against the Chiefs.
Josh Allen was not the problem. I mean, and I don't think Alexis meant it.
He's not perfect.
Yeah.
But what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't think Alexis meant it as but
yeah.
But I do think that this was, I think it's interesting because, and somebody mentioned a comment, Sean O'Hare on your network, Jeff, we played it on my show, said that Josh Allen he'd take every day, all day over Patrick Mahomes, said he's 1A and Patrick Mahomes is 1B. And he said that the reason Patrick Mahomes won is because he had a better team. And, that's not going to sit well. But that's not going to sit well with the Chiefs fans who love him some Patrick Mahomes. You did say your team's better, though. I mean, I do want to point that out. Before you it kind of speaks to why, there were plenty of people in Cleveland rooting for LeBron in Miami. Because when somebody's so great and raises your franchise up beyond anything you've ever seen, you are kind of more a Mahomes fan now than a Chiefs fan. I mean, the guy, listen, I thought the comment was off base and I thought it was wrong, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. But he did say it's a better team. I mean, how would you define that? The Bills team and Josh Allen versus the Chiefs team and Patrick Mahomes.
So he was saying, just so I know for context, so he was saying Mahomes is not as good of a quarterback as Josh Allen, or Josh Allen's played better than Mahomes this year.
He said Josh Allen is the better quarterback and he would take him in any game because he thinks he's better.
Well,
and he said, and somebody said, well, why did Patrick Mahomes win then? And he said, because the Chiefs are the better team. And he went on to say things like, can they get anybody to catch the ball with the Bills? To which Chiefs fans are like, have you seen how many drops are? And, he was then talking about the Bills, what he sees as faults with the Bills. But anyway, it said a lot of people. It was a big deal. I think you're in town for a little bit.
Blew up, yeah.
How would you?
I don't think, look, I think we're past the point of having to even have that conversation. I mean, right, Mahomes has put so much distance between everybody else that there's not really a conversation to be had about who's going to be the best. But I've always said you're going to have in any era 3 to 5 other guys who are going to show up and have pretty good careers, be Hall of Fame players who are going to win MVPs and win championships. And you're seeing that happen now. with Lamar. I think Joe Burrow can get there. The thing about Josh Allen, which I think this past game did for him, that was a huge blow to his legacy, is that it's like he hasn't won those games. And so he hasn't earned the right to be in that conversation. I mean, ultimately, it's like Tom Brady wasn't and Joe Montana weren't the best, most talented quarterbacks in the world, but we remember them as being among the greatest and the greatest of their eras because they won a lot of championships. And that's what Mahomes has cashed in when he's had the opportunity. If Mahomes didn't have these championships, he'd probably be talked about like the way Josh Allen's talked about.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is Josh Allen is 3-1 against Patrick in the regular season, including 3 wins at Arrowhead Stadium. Joe Burrow is 2-0 against Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. Ryan Tannehill has beaten Patrick Mahomes twice in the regular season. Jared Goff has beaten Patrick Mahomes twice in the regular. But Patrick Mahomes takes down these people in the playoffs. That is why he is talked about as how he's talked about, right? Like, and Josh Allen, the Bills' point differential is like country mile better than every other team in the league for the last 4 years. Like, he's a phenomenal quarterback, but when it counts, he gets his ass kicked by Patrick Mahomes. That is why. And the Bills have been a better team than the Chiefs. You grade out the rosters for the last 4 years, and it just Patrick just takes them down when it matters most, and that is why he's better. That's just always how it's been. And Soren, you talk about this all the time. The second matchup, the advantage goes to the losing team. Patrick and the Chiefs have figured this out they lose to the Bengals in the regular season last year, beat them in the playoffs. The year they won the Super Bowl in 2019, they lost to the Texans and the Titans in the regular season, beat them in the playoffs. This is the same thing. The regular season doesn't matter to any team but the Bills and the Titans and the Bengals. And
coaching matters too. I mean,
coaching matters too. And Andy's one of the best in NFL history.
Yeah. I mean, you can't tell me in those two of the losses the Bills have had to the Chiefs, Sean McDermott has to wear some of those, the 13 seconds for sure, not squibbing the kick, the defensive strategy going into those last couple plays when Kelce and Tyreek Hill had those catches. And then this past game, I still feel like the only thing I would knock Josh Allen on in this past game was when they had the ball under 2 minutes to go. And I was watching with a friend. I said, they're going to have Andy burn his timeouts. They're going to leave the Chiefs with less than 30 seconds with the ball. They're either going to kick a field goal or score a game-winning touchdown. And when he did not take the cross to Stephon Diggs, when he came out in 3rd and 9, threw it in the end zone, either he did it on his own, and Allen's got to wear that, or his coaches did not say to him, look, we're still going to nickel and dime our way down here and take these timeouts away, because there's a disconnect if you're saying with 12 minutes to go, we have to try a fake punt because our defense is not holding up. And then you're going to say, we're going to give them the ball with 1:40 to go and 2 timeouts and see what happens. I don't understand that coaching approach. So I think Sean McDermott hasn't been able to match Andy Reid in these games too. That's a big factor in Mahomes' success.
I do think, for Lamar Jackson, he's got 2 MVPs. If he goes through Patrick Mahomes en route to winning a championship, then you've got somebody who you can say, I'm with you. Joe Burrow was right there when he had gone by Patrick Mahomes and gotten to the Super Bowl. Then Mahomes added another championship. Joe Burrow has no MVPs and he has no championships. But if Lamar Jackson would complete this and beat the Chiefs, beat Patrick Mahomes, and then go win a championship, he's in the discussion. I think the discussion, you would conclude Patrick Mahomes is better, but he's starting to put a lot of the same trophies up there. Josh Allen doesn't have those. And, I'll say this, and I said it today on the show, that, nobody talks about D Ford lining up offsides. They did all Monday after D Ford lined up offsides after the 2018 playoffs. They did all that next year. But no one talks about it now. You want to know why? Because Patrick Mahomes didn't just sit there and suck his thumb. He went right back and won the championship.
No one talks about him melting down against the Bengals in 21 because he came right back the next year and slayed the dragon again.
And that's listen, it's unfair for quarterbacks to be judged that way, but that's how they're judged. Good or bad, right or wrong. That's how they're judged. And unfortunately for Josh Allen, who played great, he's a marvelous quarterback. He's at a time just like how good would Peyton Manning have been if there were no Tom Brady? Or how good would Tom Brady have been with no Peyton Manning? How good would, Novak Djokovic have been if there were no, all the other guys? When you have those great ones that battle, the problem is Patrick Mahomes right now is the guy that's getting it done. Lamar Jackson's got, can we say, the best chance? Right? I mean, this looks like they've never been a 3.5 point dog.
Oh, yeah.
Have they, Eric, with Mahomes?
They were 3.5 point dogs in week 3 of 2020, right? Remember when the Ravens were coming back?
I mean, championship game, playoff game.
In the playoffs. When they get to the playoffs, have they ever been this big a dog?
No, they've only been an underdog in the playoffs once, and that was the Super Bowl last year.
The Eagles by 1 point.
Yeah. And they were dogs last championship game, but then Mahomes' injury report came out pretty good, and so they closed favorites. I mean, yeah, this is the toughest test they've ever faced in the Mahomes playoff era.
Yeah. And Soren, I think there was a guy a few comments back who was pushing back on the notion that the Chiefs are better at linebacker or pass rush or DB. They're not. The Ravens have more sacks. They've got 2 all-pro linebackers. They got Marlon Humphrey, who's
pretty negligible. It's 60-57, right?
But still, they're better. They're better at taking the ball away. I mean, they're across the board. Their defense, every level of their defense, they're better.
Yeah, no, that I do. Are you sure they're better in the secondary?
Yeah, Marlon Humphrey has been a Pro Bowl corner. Kyle Hamilton is an All-Pro safety. Their backup safety has 6 interceptions or 7 interceptions. Marcus Williams.
Marlon Humphrey's actually had a kind of a. I think Marlon Humphrey's been pretty overrated for like 3-4 years.
But he plays a Pro Bowl corner.
Yeah, Jerry Sneed's like the best corner in the NFL this year, though. Like, and Trent McDuffie is a first-team All-Pro in 2023. Like, I think these teams, like, again, I might be a homer. I also think the defensive line, the Ravens are very schematically sound.
Yes.
Like, I think this team is incredibly coached. But on the defensive line, Matabuki is tremendous, and he's going to get a huge contract. But, like, he's, like, on par with Chris Jones. Yeah. Michael Pierce is nothing special. Clowney was signed off the street in August.
Who are we taking on the Chiefs over those guys?
What's that?
Who are the Chiefs is over those guys then?
I think Karlaftis is at least the equal.
Karlaftis is better than Odafe Owe.
Okay,
Karlaftis is a 10-sack guy on this team.
So I will give you the depth of the Ravens for defensive line versus the Chiefs 2 stars.
I think the Ravens are more physical, and the Ravens take it away more. And statistically speaking, they're roughly the same.
The Ravens are the best defensive football, and the Chiefs are maybe second or third best. Let's
I think the physicality of the Ravens and their ability to take it away makes their defense better. But the Chiefs belong on the field, right? This isn't like a mismatch.
I think offensive lines are closer than we want to give it credit for. Like Ronnie Stanley is like a stub toe away from being out of every game, right?
I'd still take him over those 2 guys on the ends for the Chiefs any day of the week.
I would too. The interior of the Chiefs,
Creed's a dribbler right now.
Yeah. And Thuney might not play.
Yeah. So, by the way, we're brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete with free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, plus every single project. It comes with a written warranty. Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer, helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Focus on what it is you do, not on problems in your parking lot. One contractor, all things parking lot. It's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Find them online at gannasphalt.com. Tell me, would you call the offense fixed? Jeff, is it ride or die with Isaiah?
I would say fixed from the standpoint of they know how they have to play in order to be effective, which is got to have a lot of Pacheco, got to find a way to get Kelce going and find a way to get Rice going, and they got to find someone else after that to contribute. They don't win this game if MVS doesn't catch those 2 balls. Like those are huge catches that led to points. And so whether it's him, whether it's Justin Watson or Richie James, somebody has to deliver. And I'm still of the standpoint that I don't know if I can trust those guys in this kind of moment to make those kind of plays. I know Mahomes will play well. I know that they'll try to run it with Pacheco. I think Pacheco running the football in this game will be a huge factor early as determining what kind of game it's going to be. If they can't run the football, it's going to be like Houston. What are you going to say, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've and I know you talked about this on your show, Soren, with Sam. Like we're overlooking the biggest thing. The difference between last year's Chiefs team and this year's Chiefs team, right? Juju and Rice is better than Juju, right? Like that's an upgrade. MVS, all those guys, like they're whatever, right? We're kind of getting those versions. Travis sitting out week 18. Like Travis Kelce looks like he played last year right now, right? Like that's the difference. If Travis Kelce recovers from last week's game and plays like he plays the last 2 weeks, this is the same offense, is it not?
I don't think it is.
What do you mean, the same offense from years past?
From last year?
No.
Well, I mean, how many ifs did you have there?
Well, Rice looks very
Rice is better than Juju at the end. Rice is better than Juju playoff Juju.
And MVS was
a
privileged.
He had a nice couple of catches, but no,
that play that he made in the Super, like when they threw him the corner out in the Super Bowl, the guy was already in New Jersey by the time the ball hit the ground. He's a privilege the whole time.
I agree. He's worse this year than last year. I mean,
okay.
God bless him. And maybe we are going to find out that he's Frank Clark at wide receiver, right? Disappointing regular season, and then
Travis looks markedly better right now after resting in week 18 than he looked the whole season. And that is the reason the offense looks much more functional than it had all year, right?
But how much of that, going back to Soren's point about the defense, is you're going against guys who just aren't as good? Like if it's Kyle Hamilton covering you or Roquan Smith, is he going to make the same plays? I'm not sold on it.
Yeah, maybe. But the fact that he has to occupy those guys. I mean, Patrick Queen sucks ass in coverage. Did we not watch last week? Devin Singletary had like 5 catches for 50 yards in the first half of that game. He was buttering the heck out of that guy. Patrick Queen is not a good linebacker. Patrick Queen is an appendage to Roquan Smith, right? Patrick Queen was going to get run out of this league if Roquan Smith.
Yeah. He's what makes it go.
Yeah,
I get it, but I mean, I if your point is, can the Chiefs, with all their guys playing at their best, be better than the Ravens? Yes, I agree. But do you really think 22 guys are all going to be on their very best in this game? Like most football games, the reason the Chiefs advanced by the Buffalo Bills was they didn't have to play their best. And frankly, I think they're incapable of playing their best. They need to be 7 to 10 points better than the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday, because they will dick up 3 to 7 points somewhere along the way.
I don't
do it every game.
But I said, I was texting somebody, I said, if you guys play a clean game, I think you win. And they didn't even play a clean game and they won. I think yes, okay. If the Chiefs,
I was telling people
they don't have this week, they're going to lose. If they play a clean game, I think that they'll win.
Yeah. So I don't know. Eric's kind of freezing there a little bit. So, but yeah, listen. I think overall, yes, the Chiefs can absolutely win this game. But I'll put it to you this way: last week, because I bet it, the Chiefs, I got plus 122 on Friday night when I put in my bet on the money line just to win outright. They were plus 122, and I think.
So what does that mean? As somebody who doesn't gamble,
if I bet $100, I'd get my 100 back plus $122.
Okay.
So they were an underdog. Meanwhile, the Bills were like minus 136.
40 or so.
So you had to bet 136 to win 100. The Chiefs this time are plus 158 on FanDuel. So that's 36 more cents on the dollar that you win. That's 36 more cents. Like in some ways you could say it's like 36%, or you could say it's like 33%. More of a favorite to just win the game are the Baltimore Ravens than the Buffalo Bills by the odds makers. And we all agree that this is a more difficult challenge. My point is the point spread was 2.5 against Buffalo, right? And so I think that's what everybody knows is the point spread. But when you go to that money line, you're getting what it is to win or lose the game. And it is a significant jump this week on the favoritism of the Baltimore Ravens compared to how much the Bills were favored. Now, and that's with the Chiefs winning again and all this hype about Patrick Mahomes, and you just can't beat him in the playoffs, and look at his gaudy record, and they are still giving the extra money for you to bet the Chiefs. I mean, that speaks to how, Eric, you agree with that? I mean, they're definitively stating Baltimore's a much bigger favorite in this game to win.
Yeah, because the Ravens are off a bye. They have an extra day of rest. Like, win with an extra day of rest. Chiefs have to play a more contested game. They're not quite as good. But then the Chiefs also are getting like playoff LeBron level respect, right? If you actually grade the game out and with like my numbers, the Chiefs are probably a 4.5 point dog, right? But you're getting playoff level LeBron like respect because of Mahomes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And he's earned that kind of respect. Jeff Pacheco, I mean, as he goes, so goes the Chiefs. Has he become that important to their offense? Is that what's making it click? Is that he is such a threat in the run?
I feel it's a big part of it. I think he opens up a lot of stuff. I think he gives that offensive line confidence. To be honest with you, I think every lineman loves to get out and beat somebody up, so that makes them feel better. Probably makes them play better. But yeah, I mean, the way he ran the football against both Miami and both against Buffalo, you can see the energy he gives this team. And it's like, I know last year we talked about, what kind of player is he vision wise? Is he going to get hurt? Whatever. I mean, end of the day, he sets the tone with that running ability. And I was happy to see them actually lean on him a lot in this kind of game, because you saw them go to the 3 tight end sets and be physical, let him get the big yards. At the end of the game when they had to get the first down to put Salted away, he got 9 yards in the first play, the first carry he had. So, yeah, I think quietly he leaning into the power running attack, that helps open up things for Kelce. It helps take some pressure off the passing game. And look, to be honest here, I think the Bills had the same issue with Josh Allen throughout the year when they were struggling to figure things out, that they had to find another weapon. And sometimes when you have the great quarterback, you're thinking, well, the next weapon is a receiver, right? Like, who's going to step up? And they found James Cook. I think the Chiefs finally realized, hey, Pacheco is a bigger weapon we can use in this offense, so let's utilize him a lot more. Now, he had 15 carries. He had 24 against Miami. If he's able to be around 100 yards and they're able to average 6 yards a carry like they did this past game and get around 140 total yards rushing, yeah, they got a pretty good chance of winning this game. But it's going to be a tough task, and he's going to be the one to set the tone again with how they play offensively.
What do you think? How important? I mean, I am a big believer in what the math will say: throw to win, run when you're winning. But the eye test certainly says this offense really kind of needs that going. I think that's what kind of opens everything else up, is when he's a threat, they're much better.
Yeah, the problem is, it's like, when I look at like kind of the run concepts that the Ravens do really well against defensively and the ones that the Chiefs run really well with,
yeah,
like I just think it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be hard for the Chiefs to do all that well running the football. So I think it's going to have to be a complementary piece of what they end up doing.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I think when they played, was it 21 when they played Baltimore? They had almost no running game then. Now they didn't have Isaiah Pacheco back then. They had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and that was a game that ended with a Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble late in the game. The Chiefs had squandered about a 13, 14-point lead. The Ravens come back, take the lead. The Chiefs have a chance to go down, and they fumble at the Baltimore 32, and they end up losing the game. But they really had no running attack that day either. I mean, the Ravens have done a really good job of taking away the run from the Chiefs. So I do think that'll be something to really watch and see. Do they even try? Do they say, okay, we're going to play it differently? I mean, Bill Belichick was famous for that. One game, we're pounding the rock old school style, and one game he's not running it at all. So we'll see if Andy Reid goes down that road. What impact does Travis Kelce have on the game, Jeff? Do you think he continues to be, the threat that he was here against the Bills, the fresh legs? I mean, he said something. Sam McDowell said he'd said one of the things that he feels better even now because he's just bouncing back from one game worth of being knocked around and not trying to bounce back from multiple ones. That the game off was a big help.
Yeah, and I would say that, if you really want to have a comp, look at how the Chiefs, how the Ravens played against the Niners and George Kittle. Like, I mean, they're so physical and athletic and multiple in what they do. Again, because of the talent on defense, they are able to take guys away from the middle of the field. And so and this is no knock on. Travis has played well the last couple of weeks, and he really has come back to what we're accustomed to seeing from him. But I said it before. It's like when you can run away from AJ Klein pretty easily when you're Travis Kelce at this age. You can run away from whoever the Dolphins were putting out there at linebacker and in safety when they played them 2 weeks ago. But it would not surprise me if they had Kyle Hamilton covering him a lot in this game. It's like he's that talented of a player. He's younger, he's more athletic, and that's the other part of this for the Ravens and their defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald. They have so many things they can throw at you to utilize. And I felt like the Bills, a big part of what they wanted to do was take away Rashee Rice, which is why Travis got so loose. And I imagine the Ravens may do some of that, but they may play a little more straight up given what they had to work with.
By the way, I think do you guys still think Kelce's retiring at the end of the season?
I think he plays one more season. Did I say he was retiring at the end of the year?
No, Eric did.
I did.
I didn't remember Jeff saying that.
I think he does still.
Okay.
Wow. Eric calling a shot.
I mean, I heard somebody say, well, he said he's going to keep playing at a press conference. Guys say all kinds of things right now, right? Everybody's always staying in college till they announce they're leaving. Everybody loves it where they are till they get a better offer. So
yeah,
I don't.
The fact, look, I start my running regime and I add a quarter of a mile every single time. But when I step on there and I ran 2.5 miles yesterday, I still got to run the 2.5 miles to get to the 2.75 miles today. It's not just a quarter of a mile today, right? When Travis goes to play, he's got to play 17 games to get to the playoffs again next year, right? Like that's a task.
And his brother retiring too, probably it will be a bigger factor in this.
Plus Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
I think one, if they both retire, they'll find out they'll watch an audience get cut because you're not inside anymore on your podcast. Yeah. You're just media pigs like the rest of us when you do that. But I think more so if Jason retires, which I think he's going to. Yeah. I think Travis is less likely to because if they are going to go into the Hall of Fame, they want 2 days of Kelce family fun. Not 1 day, 2 days. Let each Kelce have their moment to shine all by themselves when they're up there. I think that for sure. Is Joe Thuney, how big of an issue is losing Joe Thuney? Nick Allegretti played pretty well. When he stepped in, they've kept him around for a reason, although they don't pay him tons of money. But, how big of a loss is Joe Thuney, Eric, if he's not able to go?
It's big. I mean, he's worth probably about 0.5 point to the point spread. That's, I think, one of the reasons the Ravens are getting bet because, even if he's out there, he's probably not going to get, he's probably not going to be 100%. Michael Pierce is a really good nose tackle. Matabuki has been a Pro Bowl, all pro caliber player. So yeah, I think it's a big part of this game.
How much does Thuney Jeff?
I think it's, of all the injuries the Chiefs are going to have in this game, it's the biggest for me. I mean, you have even a strained pec for a guy playing position. I don't know how you can't be a liability out there against a team that's really going to challenge you physically. I mean, like Matabuke is a beast right now. Like he's one of the top 3 defensive tackles rushing the passer in this league. And so not just in the run game, but just trying to protect. I mean, they really, I was hats off to what they did in Buffalo from an offensive line standpoint, not having the penalties we've seen them have, not having the issues at offensive tackle we've seen them have. But going to Baltimore, down a lineman, especially at that spot, I mean, you're already liabilities at tackle, and then you're saying even Allegretti's a solid player, but he's not a Pro Bowl level player. Like you just want to have your protection be at its best when you're going into that place, facing a lot of simulated pressures, the noise. You saw how Houston's offensive line reacted. They had like 5 false starts and they had a delay of game with CJ Stroud. Like that's going to be part of the challenge too, having to play through those kind of things. So yeah, I think if he's not playing, it's an issue.
You've had parking lot problems before, then you know how frustrating it can be if your business, anything distracting you from whatever your business is. It's the first impression you make is when a client or a customer comes onto your property. Gann Asphalt and Concrete has been making parking lot problems disappear since 1994. Full service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. One contractor, all things parking lots. Did the defense get exposed against the Buffalo Bills? I mean, early on, we would have thought, Eric, that running the ball was an issue for them. When teams would run right at them, they seem to have solved that down the stretch. Did Josh Allen and the Bills show that they do still have a problem stopping the run? Is the run style of Baltimore very different, less power? Lamar Jackson's not a power runner. Is that, how concerned are you about what we saw in the first half, particularly against the Bills?
Did you guys see the sports betting tilt that the people were on? Like, James Cook, his prop was 61.5 yards. He had 67 yards going into the fourth quarter, and he had 4 carries for minus 6 in the fourth quarter, and he ended up with 61, and all those people lost their money. They figured it out at the end, and so yeah, they got gashed. And when I was watching the game, Buffalo was moving the line of scrimmage like 3-4 yards back, and so that's the thing that worries me the most about this game is Baltimore running the football on them. When I was talking to my buddy who's the director of analytics for the Ravens, I was like, are you guys even going to throw the rest of this game when they got the ball up? They were up 14 with the ball, and they basically didn't the whole time. I think that, the linebackers in this game, staying home on Lamar is going to be huge because I don't necessarily know if the Ravens are powerful the same way that maybe Buffalo is, but they do like they do every gap really well. And Lamar can just pull it out and get out the backside. Now, this Chiefs defense is fast, so that helps. But yeah, like the Bills figured out something in the first half of that game, and it makes me really concerned about Sunday.
Yeah. How about you, Jeff? Like, Chris Jones seemed to still be in the mode of just sack hunting.
Yeah.
Like he was still playing the Chargers, and all that mattered was getting his $1.25 million because there was very little effort on anything that wasn't right at him or a pass rush.
Yeah, he came to life when it was pass rushing situations. I remember when Josh Allen scored that. Scored a touchdown and run, and you can see Chris Jones just kind of okay. I'm not going to chase that. It worries me that Buffalo ran for 182 yards, and they're about to see the best rushing team in the league. Yeah, I think that's a huge issue. And I just saw someone make the comment about blitzing Lamar. The problem with blitzing Lamar, that if you're Steve Spagnuolo, is that you miss, it's game over. Because either he's going 70 yards or somebody he's covering is going to be getting free. When you're a defensive back playing against him, when you're playing coverage, Steve Spagnuolo is designing coverages. Like, how often do you want your cornerbacks turning their back to cover receivers chasing him, right? I mean, you have to play facing him to see what he's going to do a lot of times, and that really affects your play calling. It affects your coverages. It affects the effectiveness of guys like the L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie. And so, yeah, I think that I think they're going to run the ball effectively. The Ravens are, because that's what they do. And the hope that I think if you're the Chiefs is that if you force a fumble here or there, you get a turnover, you take away possession. But the Texans had a pretty good game plan in the first half, I thought. But then the Ravens adjusted, started throwing more shorter routes, getting the ball out fast, and they got more design runs, and they ran away with it. And so really the key for the Chiefs is, first of all, finding a way to play from ahead.
Yes.
You can't be chasing points, because once you start chasing points with this team, it's a wrap. So I know they love to defer, take the ball after halftime. You may want to have the ball starting out just to get a lead.
You agree they need to play from in front, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, if they play from in front, I think that's where the Ravens are the worst, right? The Ravens have really now. The last time that they did play, the Ravens beat them, and the Chiefs had a multiple score lead. So they're not necessarily dead when they play from behind, but the Ravens are not a team that is a drop back passing team that can play from behind. That's not where they're best suited. They don't want to be. The Chiefs are a great play from behind team, but they don't want to be playing the Ravens from behind because of how good they run the football. So this is I would take the ball first if I were the Chiefs and I won the toss in this one. That would be what I would do. I would not do what the Houston Texans did, which is take the ball and then run the ball on first down and be stupid against this defense. Watching Bobby Slowick, who I used to work with at PFF, watching his head coaching candidacy go up in flames in front of my very eyes was a privilege on Saturday. I'll just say that. But
Dan Quinn in it.
The Chiefs should take the ball and they should use all of Andy's good plays to go up 7-0 because that is the one thing that the Ravens really do struggle with.
Why not defer and get a stop?
Because I think that they can get a touchdown better than I think they can get a stop.
Okay. I mean that speaks to you think the Ravens are going to move the ball on them.
Yeah.
About
it's my long held scars of like Chiefs fandom where the offense is better than defense, which I know is different now, but I still I think about Patrick and I look about last week and the offense is better than the defense last week. So I'm back to
they don't want to be in a position where they're giving the Ravens 37 minutes time of possession.
No,
that's a death knell.
I agree. But by deferring, you don't necessarily do that, especially if you can finish the first half with the ball and then you start the second half. You have a chance to own the second half time of possession. And by the way, I'll point out that's also part of the reason why the numbers look so much better for the Chiefs in the second half than the Bills. There was an 8-possession game, right? Each way. And that's one of the things I think the NFL has got to start looking at. There's hardly any possessions anymore in these games. Yeah. Nobody drops the ball.
Yeah.
And the clock starts back up on everything. And so there's really not that much opportunity for strategy anymore. Every possession becomes that much more precious. But the Chiefs had the ball to start the second half, and they were able to drain clock. And that's part of the reason why the defense looked better too, was they had more time of possession in the second half. But I think you sent a bad message if all year when you win the coin toss, you defer and you go, well, but we're not sure, guys, so we're taking it this time. No, you defer. And Steve Spagnuolo better have something up his sleeve to get him off. That's where I think it comes down to. I don't think you can run scared. We're going to take the ball this time, guys. What does that say to everybody on the team?
Except we're scared.
Yes. Yes. How do you stop Lamar Jackson? What's the game plan for stopping Lamar Jackson, Jeff?
Well, you got to get him into a lot of third and longs, second and longs. You got to get him into passing situations, obvious passing situations. And if that's not happening,
can you stack 8 in the box against the Ravens anymore and just count on Lamar to not be able to?
No.
See, I don't think so either.
That's over. No, he'll kill you. And too many weapons, too many guys. And I know it's again, I forget who made the comment about hey, Ravens aren't invincible. Nobody's saying the Ravens are invincible here. Nobody's saying the Chiefs can't win the game. Chiefs have a very good chance of winning this game because they've won they've won 2 championships. They've been in 6 straight AFC Championship games. But the Ravens are not the same team they were in 2019. People have to get their heads around that. Lamar Jackson is a much better quarterback. They're running a much different offense. And the guys who catch the football are pretty good with the ball in their hands. Zay Flowers is we talk about Rashee Rice. That's what Zay Flowers is to this offense. He's a rookie who came in, made a big impact. Their numbers are almost similar. Odell Beckham Jr., he's an older player, but he's played in big games. Rashad Bateman is a talented player who can hurt you if you don't pay attention to him. If Mark Andrews is back, which looks like he's going to be back, and you have Isaiah Likely playing, that's 2 tight ends that can give you problems. And so, and the run game. So you have a lot of things you can lean on for Lamar Jackson, which makes him harder to defend because he's putting less pressure on himself, right? He doesn't feel the same pressure that Josh Allen felt in his past game or that Lamar felt in previous games. We had to do so much. And so, yeah, you got to get him to where his legs aren't a factor. And if you can't do that, then it's game over.
What do you think the game plan is for stopping Lamar Jackson?
I think you have to have a disciplined rush. And I think that they had that against Josh. Josh got away a few times, which hurt them. But for the most part, I thought that he didn't kill them running the football. I think you have to have a disciplined rush. I think sacks aren't as important as pressure, if that makes sense. And I think you have to leverage the fact that Lamar is an accurate but not 10 out of 10 accurate quarterback, meaning you got to make some tip balls. You actually have to force some turnovers. And we know that last week, they really haven't been a turnover. They've only forced the one turnover on defense the last 2 weeks, and they have not been a defense as good as they've been that has forced a ton of turnovers this year. That's got to be the thing that they do, right? I mean, we've said it all year. They've been a great defense this year. That's been the one thing that they've struggled with. This has got, they got to tips and overthrows. This has been a team. How do you lose to the Steelers 17-10? Drops, right? How do you lose to the Browns at home? Pick 6 by Newsom, right? How do you lose to the Colts? Mistakes, right? This is a team that's brilliant, but they make mistakes the same way the Chiefs do in very concentrated ways. And that's what you got to force them not, to the same way. You got to force them to cross the street a million times in the way of the end zone, because they will drop balls, they will make mistakes, and you have to be there to capitalize on them. And the Chiefs so far this year have not defensively fallen on the balls, caught the interceptions, and done the things that they have to do in order to capitalize on the brilliance that their defense has given them this year.
Yeah, I mean, and part of it is, they're a cerebral defense and not really a physical defense.
Yeah.
I mean, and they just don't. They haven't. I mean, this has been a bugaboo for like 3 years. They don't really take it away, and they do a lot of things right. And it's a really good defense. It's the best one they've had.
Willie Gay, we'll find out if he's going to play. If he's not in this game, that's a big factor as well, right?
Yes.
Being able to spy Lamar and run with Lamar, like you're asking Leo Chenal to do that, or Nick Bolton. That's a huge mismatch.
I always laugh when it's like, oh, what are the keys to the game? We'll win the turnover battle, right? Like that one's like,
no kidding.
It's kind of like it's kind of like Wheel of Fortune. Like when, what letters do you want? STNL. Now they give you all those because we know what letters you're going to take. Now you get 3 more, right? Well, win the turnover battle goes without saying. But I think for the Chiefs, I don't think they can win this one negative, and I don't think they can win this one even. I think they're going to have to win the turnover battle. And if they get one, it's going to have to be significant. Setting up a short field or stopping a touchdown, a pick in the end zone, one of those kind of things where it's like, oh, God, they're going up. Nope, we got it. We're going the other way. I mean, it's going to have to be a big momentum flip, I think, on one of these. I think the Chiefs they're punching above their weight class in this one. I think it's pretty clear. Let's do that. Let's get to the predictions. Eric, you want to start us off? You shocked the world last week by picking the Buffalo Bills.
I did, however, change my mind on your show Friday. I came around.
Does that count?
I thought it was kind of weak. It doesn't count on this podcast. No,
it doesn't.
Bills on this podcast.
It doesn't. So I am what? How does it go? I am what?
A fence sitter.
What did the Chiefs go this year? 12-6. So I would, and then so 13-6 now this year. So that I am 12-7 picking Chiefs games.
I don't even know where that comes from. But
screw it. I'm gonna go. Okay. I think they play a clean game. I think they win. I think it's gonna be close. I think the Ravens mess around too much. I think it 20-10.
20-10. Wow. That's
20.
I think that's the kind of game they're gonna have to win.
Okay. So he's
holding the Ravens at 10 points in their own house.
Okay. Jeff.
I think it's going to be a great game. I know people on here are concerned that we are touting the Ravens too much, but I mean, the Chiefs playing in these kind of games, they tend to, the only losses they've had have been 2 in overtime, right? Both by 6 points, or 1 by 6, 1 by 3. I feel like the Ravens are the more complete team. They have been waiting for this moment. They don't have a major advantage in coaching, don't have a major advantage in quarterback anymore. Defense is better. I like them 28-20.
Okay, 20-20 for the Ravens. By the way, can I point out, if you're going to give predictions, is there something obvious that's missing there?
The team?
Yes. Who do you have winning?
Yeah.
Come on, Andrew. I'm assuming it's the Chiefs but I'd like to not just.
You have 2 ways to win then.
I'd like to pin you as somebody who's coming at it.
That's an eager play.
Yeah, just say it like that and let it hang out there and see which way.
2 ways to win.
And then Andrew follows it up. My bad. He had time to type my bad, but not time to type KC.
We know he's taking Chiefs. Yeah,
You know he's
we
taking.
assume. Haven't seen the Ravens pick yet.
Yeah. Well, I'll join you. I hate doing it. Andrew, love you guys too. We love you, Andrew. Listen, I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens. I hate doing it, but there's a lot of things. I think the odds makers are picking the Ravens, like I said, but that I hate when the money line is like that, and that says that they feel pretty strong that Baltimore is going to get there. The Chiefs can definitely do it. Like I said, I think they're going to need to be plus 1 or 2, but they haven't done that all year. They've been minus 11 on the season. They always do something. Somebody said, "Why aren't you talking about McCole Hardman?" Like, what is it? Would you live in a shoe? No one's heard like the McCole Hardman talk by now. We assume 2 days after the game, you've heard that. They'll do something screwy like that. They always do. And
what I love, not to cut you off, is that everybody's at Ravens are going to turn the ball over 2 picks. It's like they're one of the best teams protecting the football in the league.
I know. And so, look, I think Steve Spagnuolo will have some for him, but I'm going to take the Ravens. I'll go 24-17 with Mahomes, getting the ball back with not enough time, like 36 seconds or something, or maybe Baltimore kneeling down after they can't get there. But I'll go 24-17 Ravens. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm
proud of you, Soren. I'm proud of you for going with. You said that you didn't trust him to play 4 clean games, 4 good games, and you're sticking to it.
Yeah, it's what I hope I'm wrong. I'm a Chiefs fan. I'll be rooting for the Chiefs. I hope I get to come on here and boo this man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It does.
Shotgun ready, man.
It pains me. It pains me to do it, but yeah, I think Baltimore's really good, and I think this might be their time. And this is what it looks like when you're the Chiefs. You're good enough to win it every year, but you're not going to win it every year. And they're good enough to win it this year, but I just don't think, I haven't thought all along that they just can't get out of their own way. They're playing cleaner. They're not playing clean football still, and that'll be their undoing. Remember, we're brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warranty. Everything and anything you need done to a parking lot, one contractor, all things parking lot. That's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Make sure you tell them you heard about it here on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast. For Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, Eric Eager from Sumer Sports and Election Coverage, I'm Soren from Sports Radio 8 today. Thank you very much for joining us. Red, Gold, and Bold.